Today we're going to talk about the Direnzo DRZ04 Mondial. So in front of the camera, you guys can see two different prototypes. One of them is the matte white dial configuration, and the other one is the Sunray Fume blue with the circular brushing. And I want to thank Direnzo for sending these in, allowing me the presentation here. I'm going to do my best to be objective, talk about the good elements, talk about the negative elements, and focus in on the details and try to give a good representation of what this watch would be like on your wrist or in your rotation if you're considering adding another watch at around $600 to your own collection. So let's start with the dimensions here. 40.3 millimeters of diameter, 48.2 in overall lug-to-lug length with an 11.4 millimeter height and a 6 millimeter taper. So at these dominant integrated lugs here, we're at 24 and it tapers down to 18 millimeters. At the butterfly deployant clasp, which you guys can see, carries a little bit of engine turning on the underside of the clasp, which I always enjoy seeing. It's a small touch, it's a small detail that brings the overall experience up a small degree. Now the watch, the case, the bracelet, the bezel, the crown will all have a hard clear coating applied to it that will increase the hardness value to about 800 Vickers, which essentially is equivalent to a Damasco nickel-free ice-hardened stainless steel watch. Those are at about 800 Vickers. So this will do a great job at deflecting minor hairline wear marks, nicks, scratches, flea bites, dings, and dents that naturally occur as you wear and use your sport watches. I think those types of things are inevitable, and so this hard clear coating will help with those types of wear marks. I do like the dimensions, and I do like the mix of finishing. There is subtle use of high polish. It's found on the chamfered edges of the case and bracelet. It's found on the side, the vertical side of the bezel, and then obviously we have polished center links here. So there is a good amount of light play. This watch does demonstrate pretty good use of reflections, pop, and finesse. I would not classify this as blingy, and I would say this is versatile. I feel at home wearing this watch in my normal attire, which is generally shorts and a t-shirt. If I'm wearing jeans and a polo shirt, I think this looks equally at home, and it would look appropriate with slacks and a button-up shirt. It's not too sporty, it's not too dressy, and I think it just it strikes that good blend of being in the middle and being appropriate in most situations and environments. Again, I like the light play, I like the size, I like the comfort, I like the thin profile on my wrist, which is 7.25 inches. It looks proportional. It's not too dominant wearing. Generally with an integrated bracelet design, they wear a bit bigger because the lugs are so broad and whatnot. But this, obviously you guys can see this looks good. It looks sharp. I will say that the anti-reflective treatment, at least on this prototype, is not doing its job. And so fortunately with the production versions, there will be a better application of anti-reflective treatment. You guys can notice my DSLR camera even has a difficult time focusing on the watch because it wants to zero in on the crisp reflections, but that will be improved with the production version. There are going to be a couple other differences too. We have BGW9 lume in the applied markers in the skeletonized handset, and on the production version, there will be a few more layers of BGW9 applied, so it will do better with longevity and potency. Now, I know some of you have a very keen eye for detail and nothing really gets past you. You might have already noticed that the date font in the date wheel is not quite centered down there at the 6 o'clock position. That's the last element that will be corrected between this prototype and the production version. I made sure to ask Sergio at Direnzo exactly what would be changing so that I could accurately represent this watch and not give any type of misleading information. Now let's talk about the movement. We have an exhibition case back where you guys can see the Sellita SW200-1. This is the Elabor grade, which is not in reference to how elaborate the finish work is. This does carry the standard finish, but Elabor is in reference to the grade of the movement. So this will be adjusted in 3 different positions. and that it will also carry the Inca Block shock protection system that is not found on your base grade Sellita SW200-1. All of the other specs and dimensions will be the same, so 26 joules, 38 hours of power reserve, and a beat frequency of 4 hertz. So that is 28,800 beats every hour. Now let's talk about the bracelet. The bracelet is a highlight of the watch. It's a focal point. It's a selling point. It is meant to be paired with this case by the designer. So you're not supposed to be able to take this off and put it on a leather or a NATO or a rubber strap. This is how the designer intended you to enjoy this design. And so I think it deserves a higher level of scrutiny, because a good bracelet on an integrated bracelet design, I think, is difficult to pull off. It has to be done properly for it to really hit the sweet spot and allow you to give up that type of versatility that you give up on a watch that doesn't have a traditional lug system. Now, sadly, I will say that the tolerances on the bracelet just don't seem to be at the same level as the rest of the case, the dial details. And that's disappointing because, again, this is really a selling point or a focal point of the watch. It's not a throwaway piece. It's not an afterthought element. This, again, is, I think, just as important as the case, the movement, the dial. And technically, we should have that way of thinking with every watch, but I think it's especially magnified on a watch where you're not able to switch out the bracelet and wear it on another option. So what do I mean by the poor tolerances? It's not in reference to how much flex and give this has or the screw links. Grand Seiko will have a similar amount of flex and give with screw pin connectors, and they deem that to be very comfortable. No, what I'm talking about is like the gaps that I see here in the polished center element in between each one of the H links. You guys can see there's just an unsatisfactory amount of mismatching, I guess. I can move this laterally, and there's just some play and wiggle that I don't want to see. I don't think that, I just don't think that we should see that here at the $600 price. Now, if you look at the finish work, the polished chamfered edges kind of carry a mushy transition between that high polish and the satin brushing. And you don't see that on the case. It's a lot more crisp and defined, sharper, cleaner, and better executed. So sadly, I think the bracelet just has poorer tolerances than the rest of the watch, and that takes the overall feel down a few notches for me. And I will also note that this does not carry half links, and there are no micro adjustment holes in the butterfly clasp. So you could get a perfect fit, or it could just be a little bit too tight, which will cause you to add a link to one side, which might make it just a bit too loose for your preference. So I think the bracelet has some room for improvement. And if it had tighter tolerances, if it had some half links or a system to where you could adjust the travel a little easier, you could get some more custom positions, then this would go up a few notches and would really help the model be more satisfactory to the consumer. Now, hopefully I didn't come across as too harsh there. I'm trying to be fair and balanced as I talk about the good things, the bad things, the details. I want to represent this in an accurate way for those of you shopping this piece. Now, this will be available for pre-sale on March 20th of 2021. The pre-sale price will be $620, and it is anticipated to be delivered in June of 2021. And when the pre-sale price is over, the price will go up to $800. So if you guys are interested either in this white dial, the Fume blue, the Fume gray or green, or even the meteorite dial variation, I definitely would encourage you to take advantage of that almost $200 discount and secure the fourth design from the Direnzo family before the price goes up. So just in summation, I do like the size. I do like the comfort. I do like the Elabor Sellita movement here, the versatility, the hard clear coating, the BGW9, the unique and refreshing dial execution, the selection of colors, the fact that this is different from many sport watches on the market. You might be suffering from some dive watch fatigue. I know many of my viewers have voice those types of concerns and comments on my videos, this is another option for you to consider. That's not a dress piece. It's not a diver. It's still a sport watch that's unique, that carries a little bit of IWC influencing, carries a little bit of AP influencing. If I'm looking at modern watches, a little bit of Tudor North Flag, but definitely with a different twist and flair that's unique to Direnzo. And I'd like to thank Sergio for allowing me to do this review on these prototype units. And guys, you could consider this a sponsored review because Direnzo will be gifting me a production version of the DRZ04 Mondial just as a thank you for doing this presentation. And as always, I will be gifting that to a member of my Discord community as a thank you for the support, helping me create content. I always enjoy passing that kindness forward, and I'm looking forward to doing that giveaway. So thanks for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any specific questions, if I can help in any way. Maybe I didn't convey a particular point very clearly. I'm happy to try to elaborate. There will be links in the description to Direnzo's pre-sale page, links to my Patreon for the Discord. All of that will be in the description. Thanks again, guys. Have a great evening, and I'll see you next time.